Hey everyone, Frankie here. Today I'm going to be talking to you about wedding bells. This book is aimed at, I would say, intermediate learners of Cantonese, so you would probably go to this book after you've finished Complete Cantonese, A Teach Yourself Guide, or perhaps Basic and Intermediate Cantonese by Virginia Yip and Stephen Matthews. This book was originally written in Japanese, and then it was eventually translated into English, and so this is the version we have now. It's published by Greenwood Press, which publishes a lot of different Cantonese textbooks, a lot of Cantonese books that have been written by people who have either attended or taught at the Chinese Language Center, which for short is the CLC. Now the CLC is probably the best, if not the only school in the world that teaches Cantonese at an advanced level to non-native Cantonese speakers. It's located in Sha Tin, Hong Kong, and it's part of the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Yin-Ping Creamly, one of the authors, she taught there, and then Shin Kataoka, he helped to translate and also to proofread this book, which I talked about in one of my past videos, Cantonese: A Comprehensive Grammar, which is by Virginia Yip and Stephen Matthews. This book basically explains all Cantonese grammar. So if you ever had a question about Cantonese with regard to grammar, should I use this aspect marker, should I use that aspect marker, when do I use this aspect marker, this is the book. But we'll talk about this in another video. So back to this book. So as I said, this book was written by Yin-Ping Lee and Shin Kataoka, and basically it talks about a woman developing a relationship with a Japanese man, and it ends in like a Chinese-style wedding. So as you can see, there's like a Japanese guy here and a Chinese girl here, and coincidentally, the authors are a Japanese guy and a Chinese girl. When I say Chinese, I mean Hong Kong girl. What do I really like about this book? Well, this textbook is probably the closest you'll ever get to a textbook from the CLC. What do I mean by that? Well, the CLC teaches Cantonese, and they have their own series of textbooks which they publish privately. They're basically these books that are bound in like this really old style binding, and it's hard to explain, but they're not crappy, but the quality of the paper and the stuff is kind of crappy. But basically, they make their own textbooks, and they don't sell them to the general public. The textbooks are actually very, very good. They have like grammatical explanations, vocabulary lists, stories, everything. They have everything. I really, really like them. And when I attended the CLC, which I was lucky enough to do after I won a scholarship last year from the United States government, I kind of got hooked on that style of textbook. Fortunately for you and for me, this book is almost identical to the textbook style of the CLC, in that it has a story which is written in, for example, this one, Chapter 8, which is about internet love, apparently. And so you'll have one page which will be all Chinese characters, including English loan words like the word email, which is written there randomly, and then one page which is all Cantonese pinyin. And then the next page is a vocabulary list, which will introduce words that you might not know that were in the reading. And it has their character, their pinyin, and then an English explanation. And then they have a grammar check, which pretty much gives you just grammatical explanations of some of the different particles they might use or phrases. And then they'll have a phrase check. And basically, it'll give you a phrase, like maybe like 2 words, then ... like ellipses, and then something like another couple words, and it'll give you an example of how to use that expression. And again, this is very, very, very similar to the textbooks at the CLC. In fact, it's identical. And then at the very end of the chapter, they usually give you like a little cultural explanation. Now again, this is very, very unique to Hong Kong. According to the authors, quote, "It is aimed that learners would acquire living Cantonese as well as understand the culture, thoughts, and feelings of Hong Kong people by reading written Cantonese," end quote. So basically, this book is just Hong Kong. It's like Hong Kong Cantonese life, culture, and everything wrapped up into it. Very much so like 90% of the other books that I review or talk about or like. It's intertwined with Hong Kong culture, which is great. And that's where Cantonese is growing, and that's where Cantonese is most widely spoken. So there's no better place to learn Cantonese, and there's no better type of Cantonese to learn than Hong Kong Cantonese, which is what you will learn in this book. And guess what? It comes with the CD. So you can hear these stories read out and the vocabulary read out. The stories are read at like I would say a normal pace, and the vocabulary is read very slowly, and it's very good. So that way, if you don't have a native Cantonese speaker on hand, you can just listen to the CDs and still continue to progress without their help. And then eventually, you have to talk to a native speaker to try to practice your tones, or practice your intonation, or practice your sentence patterns or grammar. But anyway, this book is available on the Greenwood Press website, and I believe the Greenwood Press website ships to everywhere in the world, so you can pick it up there. One important thing to note is that you have to use Internet Explorer when you're ordering books from the Greenwood Press website. Why that is, I don't know. Maybe it's written in Explorer, or I have no idea. I have no idea why you have to use Explorer, but you do. So if you are interested in buying this book, you need to open up Internet Explorer, or if you use a Mac, I don't know, maybe you can use Safari or something. I don't know if it's going to work, but you'll know because you won't be able to get to the purchase page unless you use Explorer. So just give it a try. And if you have trouble, let me know. Maybe I could help you order it. I don't know. And I think that's it. So I would give this book a 9 out of 10. And the only reason I'm giving it 9 out of 10 is because the stories themselves are a bit black and white. And I mean that in a literal sense. You have a story, and then you have the pinyin. One bad thing is that since the story is this long, if you don't know, let's say, character here, then you have to read through the whole thing because it's not done line for line. That's one thing, one reason I like the Feng Shui Master book, in that if you look at the story, you have characters, pinyin, and then English, all right next to each other. So even if you don't know the character in the middle, it won't take you that long to get to the actual character in the pinyin. But because that's a whole block of text, you have to really look. And that is something that's a little bit tedious, but, if that's what you're going to do, then that's what you're going to do. And it's also important to note that there's 20 chapters in this book, so it will take you quite some time to finish it. And again, it's aimed at intermediate learners, so you have to have, according to the authors, I think 150 hours or 180 hours of experience before you get into this book. I guess that would be 2 years, a year and a half. Again, I would say it depends on your level. You could pick it up. It's not that expensive. I mean, I can't remember how much I paid for it, but I think it's along the lines of $20 US. So you can pick that up from the Greenwood Press website. I'll post a link in the description, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If I don't know the answer, I'll find it out for you, and I will answer you promptly. So thank you so much for watching. Please like my video, and also subscribe if you haven't yet. I'm going to be posting more reviews and more Cantonese related stuff. I always love feedback. The likes show your support to prove to me that someone's actually watching these videos. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for the next book review. Okay, bye-bye.